The night my son knelt down to propose, I was standing in a bank parking lot in Mississauga, shaking in the cold, staring at a confirmation email that said $8 million had been transferred out of my name. If you stay with me to the end, you'll understand why that moment didn't break me, it finally set me free. I raised my son alone after his father passed away when he was 10. We lived modestly, moved apartments often, and I worked 2 jobs for years, one of them cleaning offices in downtown Toronto long after everyone else had gone home. What my son never really knew was that before I married, I had inherited shares in a family business back in Europe. I never touched the money much. I let it grow quietly, like a safety net I prayed I'd never need. By the time I turned 62, it had become $8 million. To me, it wasn't power or luxury. It was peace. My son, Daniel, did well for himself. He worked in tech, drove a nice car, lived in a condo overlooking the lake. Somewhere along the way, our conversations changed. When I talked about budgets or long-term care planning, he'd laugh and say, "Mom, you're too old to worry about money now. Just relax. Let the younger generation handle things." He didn't say it cruelly, but it stung every time. Too old, as if experience had an expiry date. Then he met Sophie. She was charming, confident, and very aware of appearances. She talked about destination weddings, private schools for future kids, and a certain lifestyle. I tried to connect with her, but I always felt like I was being measured and found lacking. Once, at dinner, she joked, "At least Daniel won't have to worry about supporting his mom forever." Everyone laughed. I smiled, but something inside me went quiet. A week later, Daniel came to me with papers. He said it was just smart planning. A power of attorney. He said if anything happened to me, it would make things easier. When I hesitated, he sighed and said, "Mom, you don't even use that money. What's the point of it sitting there when you're not going to enjoy it?" That was the moment I realized he wasn't talking about my safety. He was talking about access. That night, I made a decision I never thought I'd have the strength to make. I called my lawyer. By morning, the money was moved into a trust with conditions only I controlled. Charitable giving, education funds, a future residence of my choosing. And yes, a portion for my son, but only if he learned to respect the woman who raised him. When Daniel found out, he was furious. He accused me of not trusting him, of being manipulated by fear. Sophie stopped calling altogether. The silence hurt more than the anger. Months passed. Then came the call. Daniel said he was proposing to Sophie. He wanted me there. I almost didn't go. At the small gathering, just as he pulled out the ring, Sophie's mother whispered something sharp to her. Sophie's smile faltered. Later, in the kitchen, she confronted me. She asked, very directly, if the rumors were true. If I'd locked away my money. I nodded. Her face changed. Not angry, calculating. She asked what that meant for Daniel's future. For theirs. I told her calmly that it meant my money would be used for good, not entitlement. That it meant I trusted love that didn't depend on inheritance. The engagement didn't last. Daniel didn't speak to me for a long time after that. When he finally did, his voice was different. Quieter. He said he hadn't realized how much pressure he'd been under to be someone else. He admitted he'd started seeing me not as his mother, but as a resource. That was a hard truth for both of us. Last week, we walked along the waterfront together, the wind cold and honest. He apologized, not for the money, but for the way he'd made me feel invisible, too old. I told him I wasn't too old for money, or love, or choices. I was finally old enough to make them without fear. And if you're wondering why I started this story with a proposal and a discovery, it's because sometimes the biggest inheritance we leave our children isn't money at all. It's the lesson that respect has no age, and love can't be bought, no matter how many millions are on the line.